Most of you saw this in personal finance, so I'm just gonna walk through this. What is a weighted mean? How to work with a frequency table? Then we're gonna move on to a spreadsheet, so I don't have to do this all by hand. Though the math is still challenging, but not too bad. So first off, what I'd like you to do is try these things. I'm gonna say do something, try it yourself, and then I'll give you the answer. Okay. So we've got this set of data here, right? And if I want to find the sum of that, what I'm trying to do is find the mean of that data set is where I'm going. So the first off, we got to add all these numbers up. And so why don't you add them up and I add them up, and we'll come back and compare. So when I did this, I got 74. So the sum of those numbers is 74. And then how many numbers are there? Well, let's see. I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 numbers. So what's the mean? Well, remember when we find a mean, we take the sum of the numbers divided by how many there are. So 74 divided by 15 is, I got 4.9, 4.93. Here, let me undo what I just wrote. 4.93, about, I'm rounding. So what happens, that's having all the data. What happens if they give me data in a tabular form and I don't always know all the data? In this case, I've got, here, let me do some erasing. Could erase that line. I'm just going to do some breaks here so I get a visual. Okay, I'm counting 5 2s, and that's why I wrote 5 here originally. There's 5 2s. I've got 1 4. I've got 6 6s. I've got 3 8s. So then what we do is we multiply the value times the frequency, and that gave me 10. So basically, those 5 2s added up to 10. That 1 4 is 4. Those 6 6s added up to 36, because 6 times 6 is 36. Or I go back and up the old way and add those up. Then 8 times 3 is 24. So now when I add these up, I got 74. Notice that number looks familiar. And I add these up, I got 15 numbers. Notice that the 15 appeared up here and the 74 appeared up here. When I divide those, I get the same thing. So if I have a table of values like this, and I can find the weighted mean without having to worry about all the separate numbers. So here's another set of numbers. This is a set of salaries. They gave it to us and gave this information as in a table. I'm not in a table. It'd be really nice to make a table. So let's do some filling out here. And then because these are huge numbers, we aren't going to do these by hand. We're going to go to a spreadsheet, and that's where I want you to get to anyways. So let's do some tallying up here before we get too far into this. So I see 6 employees that make 19.5. So I'm going to write 6 there. I see 8 employees that make the 23,000. I see 4 employees that make 28,000. I see 2 that make 36.9. And I see the boss makes 145,000. So what we're going to do is now we're going to multiply. We're going to multiply how many employees times your salary and get those numbers there. Now, I don't want you to write these down. Why don't I stop this video here and I'll go to a spreadsheet and show you how to do that. Okay, so on average, what does each employee get paid is really what we're trying to find. So what I need to do is I need to multiply the number of employees times what they earn. So on my spreadsheet, I'm going to do equals. Remember, equals is how we do here. Let me change the font here a little bit. Let me change the font. Let's go to 24. So equals, I guess you can see that. So I do equals, I clicked on the 6, and then I'm going to multiply that. So shift 8 times what they're going to earn, and that does that multiplication. And then I'm just going to fill down. I mean, I could type it again, remember, but you guys have done this before. I do equals, click on the 8, then shift 8 times the 23,000, and that'll give me that product. But you also know how to fill down. Remember, selecting that last formula, and then just go put your cursor down that little square, and it goes to a plus sign, and you can drag it down. So it does all that calculation for us. So now what we need to do is we need to find the sum of the number of employees. So I should have added, let me add a column left and write the word sum. And I'm going to add up those, how many employees they are. I mean, I could do that. I could do that by hand. That wouldn't be hard. Remember, you do equals and type the word sum. And then we do that same thing over here. And I'm just going to copy and paste. If you don't want to, you can type in equals sum and, you know, click and drag those cells. Okay, here, let me get that font a little bigger for us. Okay, so now just like we did with that other question, I'm going to take the sum of the products, divide it by how many there are. So equals, click on that sum of the products, divided by the 21. And that tells us on average, these employees are making 30, right, just over 30,000 bucks. Whoops, let's drag this out there. Okay, so just over $30,000. So looks deceiving. I mean, you could say, hey, our average, we pay on average, our employees can make 30,000 bucks, but you know, you've got what, 10, you have 18 of them that are earning less than $30,000. So this is one way. This is one reason why I talked to you about using the mean versus the median. You know, this is probably a left skewed distribution, or probably a right skewed distribution. I'm sorry, because that one outlier there, got a whole bunch of people making not a lot of money, and then very few making a lot of money. So it would skew it right. The median would probably be a better estimate, but that's not what I'm trying to teach you here. But I want you to remember that and think about that. So but here's the that's a weighted mean, and we base that on this data. Okay, so I'm going to get the next one set up, and we'll just keep rolling with the spreadsheet. Okay, so for this next one about weighted for GPAs, and all the GPA is a weighted mean. You guys all have GPAs at Oxbow. I guess they're going to calculate them again for quarter 3 and quarter 4. So what you do, but it's the same process. You take, see, each one thing I didn't copy down here at my spreadsheet is the C. A C is typically worth 2 points. They do some different things. You're going to see in one of the online exercises, they tell you how many points a grade is worth. Here I'm just making this easy. A is usually worth 4 points. B is worth 3. A C is worth 2. A D is worth 1. F is worth 0 points. And you see that, I think on the sheet I gave you, didn't I give you those points? No, I didn't. I'm just saying to you now. But in the next problem I do at the bottom of the page. Well, I used to do it. Here it is at the bottom of this example too. Okay, that's where they tell you. And this actually it's a little different than that, because they say A is worth different from an A minus. A B plus is worth different from a B and a B minus. So, but we'll keep it easy here, because the goal is to figure out weighted mean. So, but the same deal, it's the same math. We're going to multiply how many points that grade is worth, or like how many employees it was there, or maybe that's like the salary versus how many employees, in this case is the credits, but we multiply those. And we can do that each time, or I'm just going to do the fill down trick. Now I got to do the sum. I got to figure out how many credits does this person have. Well, it's pretty easy to count up and see that this person at Oxbow has 7 credits, because at Oxbow a full year course is worth a full 1 point. Right, half year course is worth half a point, half a credit. So I'm just going to do the sum here, because I'm going to have you do that when they're worth different values. So see 7 points, and then I'll do the same thing here. I want to add up those quality points. I can also get fancy and go to the right, fill it to the right, and see the way it added those up for us. And then how do we find that weighted mean? We take the sum of the points. So we're going to do the 16 divided by the 7. And Derek has a 2.29 GPA. It's okay. I mean, he failed U.S. history, so that certainly hurts. And getting a D in local government, I think. And food, boy, notice how this is old courses: foods and nutrition. That was Mrs. McKenzie, Wendy McKenzie. I don't. You guys must remember her. So that's how you do the GPA. Okay, another GPA problem. What's different about this, and when you go off to colleges or other training, they usually don't have every course worth the same. They usually have, and depending on how hard the course is, it's worth more points. I mean, this basic tire welding and rim service is only worth 1 point versus hydraulics and brakes. You know, that's worth a lot more points. Must be that brakes course is harder. So, but it's the same thing. How do you get a GPA? Well, Emily knows Mark earned an A in that course, so that's worth 4. He earned a B in foundation of brakes, that's 3. Then he got 2 C's, and those are both worth 2. Then he got a D in suspension systems, so that's only worth 1 point. At least he didn't fail anything. Let's see here. Let me make this font a little bigger. So then quality points. How do we do the quality points? I hope you said we're going to multiply these two sets of numbers, right? How many points times how many points it was worth, how many other credits. So equals, I'm going to click on the 4 times, so shift 8 times the 1. I get 4, and I can do the same thing, so I can fill down. And it does all that calculation for us, right? Then what's the next thing we do? We find the sum. So how many credits did this person take? So the sum of his credits, we can do that by hand. That's not big numbers, but why? And equals sum of those quality points. Those, how does that accumulate? And then we're going to divide them. We're going to say the GPA will be the 33 divided by the 15. And Mark's got a 2.2 GPA. All right, so let's do one more here. I would love to have you stop the video and try to do this yourself. But if you're still lost, why don't you watch through it, okay? You can always come back, and I'm sharing the spreadsheet with you, so you have access to it. So let's see. He got a 3 in English. He got a 1 in math because it's a D. He got a 4 in history, a 4 in band, a 4 in PE, and a 3 in chemistry. So then I'm going to find the quality points, right? Which, how do we do that? Do the multiplication, right? So I'm going to multiply those two cells together. So equals, I clicked on the cell. I went shift 8. I'm going to click on this cell. Okay, and we're going to fill down. I'm going to get the sum. So equals sum. Guys have done this a number of times this year. So though it's been a couple of weeks since I've had you do it. Actually, at this point, it's almost a month probably since I've seen you, right? We're at the 11th. Yeah, we got out of school. Some of you didn't show up on the 16th of March. Been almost a month. Wow. I miss seeing you every day. I don't know if you miss seeing me, but so we're going to equals and divide those, right? Divide those sum of the quality points by the sum of the number of credits, by the number of credits. So Tom has a 2.94 GPA. So we've done weighted means. We did that whole analysis beforehand with that first page, and then we did it with salaries. That was in a GPA, and now I've just done 3 GPA questions with you. Now we're going to go back to books. We're going to do one with not a GPA, just a books, number of books. So let's see if we can do this. We want to know on average how many. So this is about, what is it? It says the 60 students were asked how many books they had read over the past 12 months. This is the tally. On average, how many books were read by these students? So I'm hoping you realize to do this, what are we going to do? I hope I said multiply. We're going to multiply the number of books times the frequency. So equals 0 times 1, which is going to be 0, right? And we're going to fill down. We don't have to do much any more thinking. And that's the goal. Now, the books aren't the books, this is like a category, right? What we want to find out is how many students were there. Well, they told us there were 60. So if we want to, we could just do equals sum and double check that. But they told us it was 60. So unless I copied and pasted wrong, whoops, I certainly can't fill and select cells, can I? So 60, good. And then I'll do that same thing for the number of books read. And then we divide them. So I think that's 3, but let's do the work. So equals 240 divided by the 60. So on average, oh, it's 4. Oh, it's 240. Yeah, 240 divided by 60. 24 divided by 6 is 4, isn't it? So on average, these kids read 4 books each in a year. Wow. So that's not very many. Whoops, what did I just do? So that's how you do these weighted means with tables and spreadsheets. Now you're gonna go to Canvas now. Let's see, do I have Canvas open? Let's see. Now, well, I have it in the middle of building it. If you go to Canvas and you go to modules, and this will be this continuation learning. You probably aren't going to see the other ones yet because I don't have those all built. And I'm probably not going to be able to build them out, guys. Maybe over break I can get caught up. But this one will be available, and I'll have it all listed out what you got to do here. And I'll probably make you go through it. You'll have to click on the one and do it. Maybe I'll do another video instead of making this one longer. Okay, so good luck with it. Let me know if you need help. I've got those live time helps available.